Like I told you before the break, our focus is on food storage and its sustainability in Nigeria. We're speaking with a farmer, an agricultural entrepreneur, CEO of Ugwanama Farms Limited, and government consultant on Enugu State Farm Estate, Alhaji Sani Nnaji. Alhaji, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, Alhaji. Okay, so we're talking about food storage and its sustainability in Nigeria. What would you say are the main challenges facing food storage in Nigeria today?
Yeah, when you talk about storage, you talk about productivity, production of the food. Have we produced what we can sustain on? What the level of our production? So it is when we address that issue, then we'll come to storage.
So are you saying that we've not produced enough to be stored?
Yeah, the major problem we have in Nigeria today is that we haven't been produced what we can store, and that is the reason why we're having some form of importation of some food items, because what we produce is not okay for us.
Okay, would you say storage storage and post-harvest losses, what's the difference?
Post-harvest losses is when you are not using the adequate means of harvesting, like machines, and talk of weather, and maybe sometimes lack of infrastructures that will make you to make adequate harvest. For instance, if you cultivate cassava in some remote area in Enugu, and on harvest you didn't have an adequate buyer or access road that will lead you to those locations. Before you can get there, some of the items might get spoiled. So that's the post-harvest losses you have. Sometimes the machine to harvest maize, you don't have it. You harvest those maize and then you cannot process the full percentage of it. Some of those maize get wasted. So that's when the post-harvest loss comes in.
Okay, so in the case of post-harvest loss, would you say that this is a huge factor contributing food security in Nigeria?
Yeah, post-harvest loss contribute about 20.
Okay, just 20%.
That's 20%.
Is it
scarcity in Nigeria? Because for instance, if you are harvesting rice of 3 to 4 tons per hectare, and sometimes lack of using thresher may make you to use about 20%, lose about 20% of it.
Oh, really?
At the harvesting ground.
Is 20% a high percentage to be worried about, or is minimal?
It's very high.
So at the least should be how many percent?
At the least it should be just about 2.5 to 5%.
And we are having 20%.
20%, yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Alhaji, you've been a farmer for decades now, and some of the issues that work against optimal production of food have always been there, but then you find a way to go about these things. Yet you're complaining that because of the poor production of food items, we are not able to have enough for production. Over the years, have you been taking care of infrastructural issues, to enable yourself succeed even as a farmer, away from government help?
Yeah. For you to call yourself a farmer in this side of the world and want to be a real farmer, you have to check and see all those machines. You have to adopt mechanization and some level of technology and innovation into agriculture. If you do that, you increase your productivity. For instance, when I came to Enugu last 4 years, the highest tonnage you can get in cassava is 7 to 8 ton. But with my own level of technology and innovation, I can reach up to 20 tons per hectare.
Okay,
So
and before Enugu? Before you came to Enugu, how?
The practice is about 8 to 10 ton. Okay. But now I've increased it to 20 tons.
Through self-help?
Through self-help and innovative idea and technology we are employing in those cultivation.
Okay, but so, I hope it's not Enugu factor and elsewhere in Nigeria it's better.
No, Enugu became the highest producer of cassava in the whole West Africa, and our land is very good for cassava. And when you talk of yield, you talk of plant population. For instance, if you talk of maize, you can't just plant maize of 1 hectare and get 5 tons. You have to know how many pieces of maize that is on ground. Before you get 5 tons, you have to achieve about 66,000 drop of maize in that 1 hectare. So your yield pattern, if you put all the fertilization and other things and all the agronomic practices, you are targeting to get 4.5 to 5 tons of maize per hectare.
Now, you have said that Enugu is the highest producer of cassava in the entire Africa or West Africa.
Yeah.
This is in contrast to the statement you made earlier that we do not produce enough. I mean, other farm products to sustain us, let alone store for further production. If we have that much cassava, what have we been doing with it? Okay, if Enugu has that much cassava, what has the state been doing with it, or the farmers in the state doing with such much cassava?
Yeah, Enugu. In Enugu, if you look at all the corners of Enugu, nowhere in Enugu that cassava does not do very well. And now check what do we use cassava for? Cassava were used for many produce, about 20 of them.
Other than pounding and eating it as gari?
Apple we know, gari we know. You get a high yield starch, animal feed, bioethanol, and many other produce you get out of cassava. So our land, we have over 1.3 million hectares of land in Enugu that is due for cultivation, and we are underutilizing them. I'm not sure if we are cultivating even up to 10% of it. So what the government of the day is doing is how do we take people back to agricultural feed, create the enable environment, give them the necessary equipment, create the infrastructure, and make the business of agriculture to become what the youth will come into.
Okay, let me ask you a personal question, Alhaji Sani. You also cultivate cassava, and you contribute to the quantity you described. What have you been doing with your own cassava? Is it just for pounding fufu and then maybe flour and gari?
Yeah, my cassava, I have a processing plant in Atikem, in Isuzu local government, where we do cassava flour and gari. And we export some part of those cassava to China.
China from Nigeria?
They utilize it there for animal feed. So the market for cassava is very wide.
So what is the hindrance for the rest of the farmers who are into agricultural cultivation? Or are they all into further processing and even exportation?
Yeah, the hindrances is what the state government is trying to cure now. We have issue of insecurities all over, and then we have issue of lack of mechanization equipment, clearance equipment. So our average farmers can cultivate just a plot or 2 plots of land, where in today's farming, if you want to make farming as a business, you can go up from 1 hectare and above. So the state government, through the farm estates, now is creating 200 hectares of land per ward, each and every political ward in Enugu state. state is going to clear the land, fence the land because of headers farmers crash. The way the land will be fenced, and all the input will came into the land. We take the soil samples of those land and then know the best fertilizers to bring to the farmers. So we believe in next 2-3 years, Enugu will be highest exporters of those inputs.
Okay, so what policies do you think are failing to address the issue of food storage in Nigeria, and as well the sustainability of it?
If we can achieve the cultivation, the production, we can start storage. Because the issue remains that a farmer with one plot of land that can get 6 to 7 or 10 bags of grains, you cannot ask him to store. So, but when you scale the production to 1 hectare, the farmer have already gotten more than he can feed, and then the storage can come in. So, if government want to plan on storage, the government have to expand the production level. We have a lot of land to produce. So in planning, first we have the statistics of what is our consumption rate per year, and then what is our expectation for that year. If you have, for instance, maybe 2 million tons of grains to consume this year, and they are producing 3 million, your storage availability is there already. So it depends on how the government plan those things.
Alhaji, let's compare notes now as regards storage. You have worked as a farmer in the north, and now you are also in the east. And I don't know if there are cultural undertone or differences in storage or challenges, disparities in storage of food items away from the east, and then if you get to the north, or are they all the same? Do you have the same challenges? Do you face the same issues?
Being in the north farming, I can tell you that 70% of those that stores food item in the north are from the south, especially
from
in
the
southeast. So because people go there, they buy rice when the rice is cheap, coming out from market, and they store it.
Or coming out from the farm.
From the farm.
Okay.
They store it, and then when it's Christmas, they process it and bring it down, and they know there's market of it then. So the majority of those that store there they are from southeast. So the issue is the lack of a very good policy where government can create an enable environment for production. When we have our excess production, you have to get excess food to eat and store. So for you to talk of storage, first you have to engage in adequate planning, know your consumption, yearly consumption, and then what will be the target, so that you know. In area like Brazil, they produce and keep for 2 years or 1 year ahead. So anything they consume this year, they produce this year, you can feed them this year and next year. So even though if you have an outbreak or a disaster, you have food reserve that you can use to sustain whatever occur. But in Nigeria, there's problems we are having in Nigeria. Nigerians were producing, but there's another areas that we are the one feeding our neighboring countries in West Africa, area like Niger, Togo, Cameroon, Chad. All of them depend in Nigerian food produce. So whenever it comes, so all of them will now come in, buy and go, and what at the end of the day we cannot have what to eat. And you see that cost of food in Nigeria, it depends, just like Christmas clothes, where during the Christmas
it gets
very
so
high.
after then everything, so whenever the produce is coming out from the farm, you see that the farmers bear the risk because the prices crash. So, but those with money will now go back and keep it for some time and bring it out.
Okay, because I was going to ask you why we do not have, but we have more northern farmers in the north, right?
Yeah.
Just that they are not much into storage.
No, there's storage everywhere. In the north, we have issues. In the south, especially the southeast or Enugu, we have 9 months raining pattern, rainy season. In each and every year, we have rain for 9 months, which is very good for agriculture. In the north, we have just 4.
4 months.
4 months, highest 5 months. But the problem is land development. In the north, you can use just 50,000 naira to develop an hectare of land. But in the southeast, you can use, if care does not take, you use over 800,000 naira to develop 1 hectare, of land here. So you see, people are not, it's not that people are running out of agriculture here, but they don't have the enabling environment
To store
excesses. To cultivate and store the excesses. And that's exactly what His Excellency Dr. Peter Mba is doing now. In each and every farm estate, you see there's a warehouse that can take up to 100 trucks of grains, and it's going to be 260 of each type in Enugu State.
And so that will actually improve food
storage
availability.
Yes.
Okay, still on these issues, because I was going to ask you, why is it that farmers in the north will make these products available, farm them, bring them out, and then others who are merchants will buy them and store and then sell later at exorbitant prices? I was wondering why those farmers would not store those farm produces themselves and sell later.
No, it is cut across. A farmer in Nigeria is always a poor man. They might go to farm, do their farming, maybe collect some of those inputs from a vendor that they have to pay back. And after harvest, the next thing they will do is to sell and offset their debts. So our people use the advantage to go to the market and procure all those things, knowing that there's demand elsewhere, excess demand, and there is a timing, because anybody that is into storage, commodity trading, you have to calculate the timing or what you are. I'm buying maize. This is when maize will start cutting off in southeast or south, and this is the time that I have to sell it and I get excess profit on it. So it's all calculated model of business they are doing. So in that type of agribusiness, people are very good in it.
Interesting. And what are some of the technological advancements and innovations that you think should be adopted in order to aid production as well lead to food storage?
What we are doing now in Enugu State, we have put everything on ground, both the mechanization, land development. We are about to use drone to plant.
Drone to plant.
Drone for spraying. Drone is not just meant to fight war. Drone is meant for other agricultural issues. So in Enugu, many advancement, many technology, many innovation is coming in, and we are going to spread it all over. We are targeting 52,000 people.
Farmers.
Yes, 2,000 farmers, creating over 1 million jobs. So, which at the end of the day, Enugu became the hub of agriculture in the whole Africa.
Is there a proper public awareness for the numbers of farmers that you're anticipating to incorporate into this field?
Yeah, each and every ward are going to bring in 200 people. That 200 people is going to have a hectare per farmer, which are going to have a direct employment into that farm. So each 1 hectare is going to employ nothing less than 5 to 6 jobs. So if you multiply it now, see the number of jobs that will be created in just cultivation. If you come to the processing aspect of the marketing aspect of it, so it's a huge boom for agriculture.
Small-time farmers may probably have smaller area of land for farming, and you find out that economically they may not be viable because they, for instance, plant yam, okay, let's say cassava in a small plot of land, harvest it, turn some to fufu, and turn the rest to gari, and begin to feed their family. They don't even have extra to take to the market, let alone storing for future use. Is it the government that will also intervene and make these people come up and produce well enough to feed the society and store for the future?
Yeah, that's the work of the government. The government is not meant to make profits, it's meant to create an enable environment so that people that they govern can have access to all those things. So where a government is bringing out 200 hectares per ward, so I believe in nowhere in Enugu state that you can get more than 200 farmers per ward. The highest you can get in each and every political ward is 200. So if you pick that 200 and give them direct job, those that are planting just a plot without any protection, maybe after the suffering, the headers will come and eat up whatever they cultivate. It became an issue, and killing will happen. The government is trying to use that form of agriculture to solve both insecurity, because they are going to fence those farmland. So after fencing, all those farmers
there won't be trespasses of cattle
and other things. Okay. So all the farmers will now mobilize in one cluster farming. So an off-taker, for instance, Nigerian brewer that are trying to off-take sorghum from Enugu state government, they know their target. They know that this is a place, 200 hectares of sorghum is cultivated in so location, or maize. So they know what to be the year pattern, and then they know what to be their target market.
Okay, so I have two questions for you still on this. If MBL that produce beverages now want to be off-takers of sorghum in Enugu state, it was not there before. Now that arrangement is new. Before now, where were they sourcing the sorghum?
No, they source all over. You know, if you look at Enugu, Enugu became the highest consumers of those things, and if you check, for instance, they will go up somewhere in the north to buy it and came back to maybe somewhere in Enugu and produce it. What if they get their raw materials in Enugu?
Okay.
So it will be a win-win business. The economy will be viable.
Okay, now you said for economic sustainability of an average farmer in Nigeria that the government would have to render some kind of support. What will I mean, this is someone's business. It's just like a petite trader getting subvention from the government to enable her sustain her businesses. But I'd like to know how the government will benefit from that.
If you ask this question, I will now ask you, how will government benefit in education? Government fund education. In Enugu state, there's 30% of the budget going to education. You now ask, if you ask that type of question, we'll now say, okay, how will government benefit in education? So the same benefit that government is going to benefit in educational level, benefit in creating infrastructural route, is what is even more in agricultural level. Because if you are hungry today, you cannot be here. Even if you are here, you will not sound the way you are sounding. So
I'm actually hungry. It's just that there is hope.
I knew you were going
to eat. So if we're in the studio with a farmer, before he leaves, he will drop a bag of rice, a tuber of yam.
So you see it. So the benefit of the government is something one cannot quantify, because first, the government have given security. That is number one. And hungry man is always an angry man. So before you even understand the government policy, you have to be your mental okay before you can understand it.
And then
So,
employment.
and the employment, there's a lot of employment. When there's no employment, criminality will
Go
be
high.
all over. And if you look at what is happening today in Southeast, you see a lot of kidnapping and other things. In the last 6 months, you have seen that they have reduced drastically in Enugu State because of the intervention of the government. So that intervention of the government by creating security system all over the state, if it's not sustained, it will just be a quick time solution to a problem. To sustain this, government want to utilize all those land, the hideout of the kidnappers, to use it and utilize it for agricultural production.
Okay, so what policies or investments are really needed to scale up sustainable food storage in Nigeria?
Yeah, the policies is just, we can use, why I mentioned Enugu. Enugu is doing something separate from other states. We are using Enugu as case study in whatever we are doing. If you go to Enugu Farm Estate, I will employ you to go to Akwof East to see what is happening.
In Kano East, right?
Kano East, sorry. So you see what is happening there. If you go to Akwof today, you will see a well-built warehouse and open land that have already been developed for the farmers, fenced and everything. So those policy, we now know that people in Akwof, their requirement of food is also amount of percentage, and we are going above that. So whatever remains from what they will eat is going to the store.
Now, let's look at sustainability of producing enough in order to store for future use, for processing, or for exportation. If we have excesses, like some farmers do, you find out that there are also wastes because of inability to effectively store those products. But are there things that we can do, that Nigerian farmers can do themselves away from government help? Then you talk about what government can do to ensure that we no longer have these wastages, and that whatever we're able to create now to enable effective storage of food, that is sustained. Because we have these issues. Most times we have beautiful policies. You see a particular administration come and take a particular task and do the most out of it. But then once the government steps aside, it scatters, and we go back to square one. Is it possible that sustainability will be part of whatever government is doing today, anywhere in Nigeria, for agricultural purposes?
Yeah, you are right. Lack of sustainability in designing of those projects and government interventions will always kill some government and even the people that have intention of farming. So if you can take, there's a lot of government programs that have gone for about 2-3 administrations that have gone. That immediately after the administration goes, you will see there's a lot of fallout in those programs. In designing of Enugu Farm Estate, sustainability is the key, because first, the government business on it is just to develop the land, hand the land over to a farmer. If a farmer is cultivating 1 hectare of farmland, the cost of production of a cassava in Enugu today is about 860,000. A ton of cassava in Enugu today is 120,000, and you can get up to 20 tons. So you are making over 200% profit in an hectare. If Governor Peter Mbah finishes administration today and another person comes, will anybody ask you to go out of your farm?
Okay.
No. So that's why we are designing both the off-taker, both the input suppliers, both the farmers. They are going to be an
okay, so that beyond now. Okay.
So that is the sustainability is the target. The government have created the enable environment, And no government will come at the end of the day and refuse to collect that revenue that the farmer is supposed to give him. So because the target for the government is to get revenue from those farmers. So the farmers the job have been created already. So the sustainability design framework have already been established.
Now that you have gone this angle, let's briefly talk about farm estates. As the consultant on farm estates for Enugu State government, what are the expectations? What are those estates, farm estates, expected to achieve?
The farm estate, there's the expectation. First is to solve insecurity through food production. Second, to create jobs. We are creating over 200 jobs, direct jobs.
In each
farm estate.
Okay, each farm estate.
Because we have 260 farm estates with 52,000 hectares. Each and every hectare is going to have 1 farm. So we are targeting 52,000 people. That is direct job. Now, each and every farm estate is going to have other services. There's tractorizations. We have created job. The government have procured 1,000 tractors that will be distributed across the states. Both the mechanization, other implements, planters and everything. Government have procured everything that will be planting. So it's no more the time that you use your hand, start planting inputs. Now it's machine that plant, so that if you have 1 hectare, you know the target amount, the plant population, so that at the end of the day you now know the type of output you are going to get at the end of the day. So each and every farm estate have designed to solve those agricultural solutions. We are bringing drone for spraying and planting. So all this thing is what will be adopted all over the state, so that the farming is not just for people at the village. Farming is supposed to be a very big time business. If you look at area like United States, 7% of their population is feeding all over the state and exports to various places in the world. So in view of that, the farm estate program, His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubisimba have gone around the world, see what is the problem of agriculture, identify it in Nigeria, and we are trying to solve it squarely. Spending to solve security problem in Nigeria, there's a lot of spending by the government. But after that spending, fighting those insecurities, starting those insurgents and insecurities, in no time they will come back again, because their area of operation having been tackled. Today, if you go to Akpof today is where it used to be known as where there is a lot of hideout for insecurities. But if you go there, you can sleep there today, because the place is open. There's a lot of activities going on, and it's happening in other locations in Enugu State. If you go to Igbeze North, we have started a location, a site there beside Kogi State, where Enugu border with Kogi State. Those places used to be a heavy hideout for criminality before, but we are opening it up for agriculture. So people we are trying to bring people back, and then make agriculture to be a form of business that people will invest in.
How much young people are involved in agriculture currently? Because talking about food storage and its sustainability, I think the people that will actually champion this cause are young people. Don't you agree with me?
Yeah. What His Excellency is doing is just by young people coming into agriculture, because the issue is we have left many things behind. Me here talking to you, I'm just in my early 40s. So you now think, when do I start agriculture? If I didn't start it at early stage, I will not understand it. I know it very well the way I know it today. And people have already think that agriculture is a retirement package. After you retire as a government worker, you now go and establish your own farm and make it cause heart attack and even high BP for many retirees, because you are venturing a business you don't know how to do before. You don't have an idea. So whenever you go, you push your money there, you lose all the money. It became a problem for you. So His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubuisi Simba have introduced agriculture from primary school. If you go to Owo Smart School today, we have built Smart Agricultural Center where the students learn the production level, processing level, and everything. They see it in their dashboard, in their classrooms, and they came to the farm and do some level of practicals. So we are growing the youth, the generation with agriculture and bringing technology into it.
All right, Alhaji, our time is actually up because this food business is, I'm filled already, I'm no longer hungry. You don't need to bother about the tuber of yam I requested. If we all go into agriculture early enough, instead of using it as a retirement package, I mean, this is an eye-opener. You start early, you master what you will have to master, and by the time you're retired, you're able to feed yourself and make small change out of it. And the target is to have enough to store for the future, for importation, for for exportation, and for processing. Alhaji Sani Nnaji was our guest on this conversation point. Thank you for coming, Alhaji.
Thank you for having me.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.